I just played in the Portland Regional Championships to one of the worst finishes that I've ever played in my Pokemon TCG history. My name is Rahul Reddy, and today I'm going to talk about why I feel like this entire tournament was on me, how you can learn from an experience despite earning championship points or not making day two, how I got to this decklist decision, and well, everyone who's been along for my journey, this one's going to be a rough watch because you're going to be like, man, Rahul, you're a really bad player sometimes. But thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and let's jump into the video. As you guys know, it's been a couple weeks since I played some Pokemon. Roughly 5 weeks, I want to say. I wrapped up the regionals in Poland, played a cup that my heart wasn't super in, and then I wanted a family vacation to India for Christmas with my family. So I was gone for a couple weeks, A week before, I wasn't really, thinking about Pokemon or anything. There was a cup, but I chose to not go and hang out with some friends instead, do some packing, all that good stuff. I got back from India. This is where my story starts before I even get to the deck list and stuff. While I'm in India, my group kind of came down to two major decks. One being Giratina, which you guys saw John win the whole tournament with, and I'm very, very happy for John, very proud of him. I've watched him grow up with me playing Pokemon as a rival, as a testing partner, all that. So I'm very elated for John to win his first regional championship. Couldn't be happier. If it wasn't me, I would love to be him or Isaiah. So all in all, the weekend is a success, despite me getting sacrificed in day one of my own results. So I knew the guys were all going to play Giratina, and I think objectively Giratina was the number 1 or 2 play for me as well. But I had just come off of recent success with Urshifu, so I was like, why not try it again? Why not dip our toes back into the pond? It worked out so well for me last time. I didn't get great matchups, but I feel like the field felt really good. And so in the process, Victor, Ong, and Aban Ahmed, who are really good players and like to cook a lot, and they test a ton, they told me that this is the 60 they landed on. This is the 60 they've been testing for quite a while. It's been winning a lot of games. Everything is going according to plan. And I was like, okay, Luminion makes a lot of sense, especially given that it fixes some of the inconsistencies. I wasn't really a fan of cutting second Vessel, and I did want second Research, but I was sold onto the concept of 4 Iono, because 4 Iono is really strong into decks like Giratina and Gardevoir, who will typically assume that you only play 1 to 2 Ionos. So once your Ionos are exhausted, they will start to build their hand. They'll start to ramp up, do what they want to do. And then we expected a couple decks to play Tool Jammer in Charizard, so we decided to add a Counter Catcher as well as Miraidon decks. Also, there's a path for them to win if they play it a little bit smart. So we decided, hey, if we fall behind the curve and fall that one turn behind, and they get to establish a board state with Mew EX being a threat, then Counter Catcher will give us the game on that given respective turn. Luminion for Arven for Counter Catcher, etc., etc. So the list made a lot of sense to me. And here's how the tournament kind of went. I had to dial back to India, and I was talking about that. I get back from India. I was talking to these guys basically through the entire flight process home, and I had a flight through London where I would be landing at home at 10 p.m. on the Friday before this tournament. So the 29th, I'd be landing at home. My entire game plan was, hey, let's not fall asleep on the flight home from London. So I land at 10, and I'll be exhausted from my day of travel, so I can just get some food, get something in my stomach, and go to bed. Did not do that. I fell asleep almost immediately on the flight, and I think I woke up with an hour and a half or 2 hours left to go on the flight, and I was like, dude, I am so doomed. It's actually chalked. So I get home and I push through the day. On the 30th, hit the gym, everything is good, and I think I fall asleep, and I was gonna go to a cup at noon that day if I woke up or whatever, and John called me at noon and was like, yo, you want to go to the cup? At this point, I've stayed up all night. I went to the gym at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I got Chick-fil-A, everything's feeling good. I got some food, and John was like, yo, you gonna come to the cup? And I kind of was like, I don't know, man, I'm really tired, so I'm just not gonna come. So I didn't go to the cup, and I was like, I'll just stay up instead and do other stuff. I fell asleep 30 minutes later, 12:30, woke up at 6 p.m. and I was like, it's doomed once again. So I pushed through that night. I go to bed at midnight, probably midnight 1. Wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. So it's doomed. But then it's New Year's Day. I have a party to go to. I stay up through most of the day, do a ton of stuff, go to the gym early because they're closing. Yada yada. You get the gist of the story. I take another nap. I go to the New Year's party. I come home. I fall asleep. I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning. And this repeats all through the week. I get to Portland on Thursday because it saved me quite a bit of money. I get to my hotel room. The plan was to stay awake and just chill until, I don't know, 10, 11 p.m. I got to my hotel at 5. I was asleep by 5:30. Not a good look for me. I woke up at 8. went downstairs, got some food, and then I went back to bed at like 10. Like, it was over for me. I got some decent sleep on Friday night. I think I went to bed at like 1. I was able to make it to 1 a.m., but I woke back up at like 4. So I couldn't really sleep. It was really rough for me. You'll see where I'm going with this sleep deprivation story. So jet lag never really fully adjusted, and I get to the tournament. Round 1, I play against James Bond. Cool name, by the way. Awesome name. I was like, holy shit, James Bond. And he was playing Peony Maridon. The first set went nearly as ideal as I could have asked for it to go, where I got, he opted to go second both times. I got to go first. My board state wasn't really amazing, but it was like Remoraid, Urshifu, which is all you really ask for, and I got an attachment both times on Urshifu. And then turn 2, I was able to like play my hand, and then Rapid Flow is active, and like the Flaffy, and then he didn't get an attack off, and then I had like Melanie and the Rapid Flow again, which actually exactly the exact thing happened to both games. So like he got the turn 1 hands both games. I think I opened Italian actually both games also. So he got the turn 1 hands into 3 prizes both games, and then I was able to Rapid Flow both games on turn 2, and I won the game. Round 2, I go up against Ross Cawthon, who is playing Roaring Moon, Turbo Moon, probably one of my worst matchups. And both games, Ross basically just gets 2 moons set up, and by the time he's getting a second moon set up on his first turn going second, I just can see I'm literally just picking up my cards. I'm like, it's not winnable. This matchup is probably the worst that Italian can ask for. Sometimes you got to just know when your matchups are bad. So in the first 2 rounds, I've now played like a grand total of like 6 minutes of Pokemon maybe. And I'm starting to get sleepy already. And I'm like, this is not good. I have 2 energy drinks in my bag. So I go get some coffee and a grilled cheese because I'm starving at this point. And I'm like, okay, this will reset me. Round 3, I'm feeling good. I play against Austin Martin. It's nice. It's easy. My setup is like really good. His setup is kind of poor. I'm able to devolve his entire board on turn like 5 or something. Same thing in game 2. So I get to 2-0 him. Everything's going according to plan. You know, I'm playing okay. I feel like I'm playing pretty decent. And then round 4, I go up against Steven Himula, which for some reason is not showing up on Stats Live, but he was playing Charizard. And the first game, I'm just like playing really bad at this point. I'm like not moving damage like the way I should be in some scenarios. By the way, like keep in mind that like Charmander, Pidgey, Jirachi, Manaphy, all of these are in increments, are in odd increments. So there's 10 damage that's being wasted on any given one of these snipes. So using Alakazam, you should be moving some of that damage around, potentially putting the Charizard at 70, putting the Pidgey at the 50, but leaving something at like 30 or 50 rather than keeping it at even numbers. And I just was not doing that. For some reason, I was just getting either cocky, playing with hubris, playing with ego, which you should never do, by the way. So it's a lesson in humility for me as well. And then he slams down Jammer. And I'm like, okay, I can work around Jammer. I have Counter Catcher. I get the Counter Catcher play with the Devo and everything. And I'm feeling good. But there's 1 Charizard remaining. And Steven's down to 2 prizes. And he basically, like, off of his, like, 6-card hand or 7-card hand he has, gets Candy Zard again. And is able to boss my Squawk in the same hand to win the game. I think we were both at 2-2 at this point. So super unfortunate way to end the game. And I think I could have just like, I literally was in my mind, was like, if I just got to move 10 damage around here or there, I just win this game. But because I didn't, he got a great turn where he was able to lost zone away by Alakazam and win the game. Game 2, I don't make that mistake. But I think I still played pretty sloppy. And the game got really close at some point. I don't remember why. I think my Alakazam also ended up in the lost zone once again. But yeah, I ended up winning that game. And then game 3, I'm in a position where I win with a Devolution as time is called. And if that doesn't happen, I think I win in 2 turns regardless. I'm playing very slow because I'm sleep deprived. I'm not making the correct decisions. I describe this feeling of like, you know how you're zoned in, like, and everything feels good and you're locked in, you're like in the zone. I was like the complete opposite, where like I'd be in the middle of a deck search and I would like forget what I'm deck searching for. I would like, this is like a really bad thing to say, but I could not focus enough to prize check a single time at Portland. Like, I literally would try to prize check, and I would forget what I was prize checking for. So that's how sleep deprived and tired I was, because I've been doing this for so many years that it should be second nature, right? Like, I don't know. It was a super off tournament for me, and I'm making excuses, but I also played really bad. Like, if I just played a little bit better, that tie becomes a win. So I end up doing a bunch of stuff. I thin a little bit improperly. There's now like 14 cards in my deck, and I am Corinaing for 6, but I think I could have pulled 2 more cards out of my deck to Corina for 6 out of a 12 card deck to hit the Devo to win the game. and I end up whiffing the Devo, and we end up tying because of this, which is really unfortunate because I had game, and like if I'm not forced to Devo that turn necessarily, but again, Malakazam I have lost out, and then I go against Victor, and game one is a pretty back and forth game that I end up taking. Once again, making small mistakes. Like I just did not learn from the Steven game where I am not moving the damage around properly with Alakazam. I am letting it get lost zoned. I'm putting it down for no reason early. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing like someone who just picked up the deck for the first time, and it's kind of embarrassing, honestly, by my own standards. Game two, something similar where like I don't get an Octillery out early, and then Victor just goes kill my Alakazam, or kill my Octillery, kill my Alakazam, and my other Remoraid is prized, both with Lost City, and I cannot bump the Lost City, so I now have an Octillery in the Lost Zone, and I have an Alakazam in the Lost Zone, and I end up getting to a position where I'm 20 damage short of just winning the game, but I'm like, okay, Victor has one candy remaining, so if he gets to this last Zard, I can just Devo it and win the game, or I can actually just like damage him through this and win the game, because I think his Charmander was at 60, and I just once again did some goofy stuff and did not move the damage around like I was supposed to. But he opts to go for a candy onto the Pidgeot, which already had an energy attached. Attaches again, Iono's me to like 2, and just hits into my active Inteleon. And I was like, oh. And I had bounced the energy. Oh no, then I had to bounce the energy for 140 because I need to do 140 twice, or I don't have enough damage, because if I go 70, he hits back into me, and then what do I do? Like, my 2 cards were just terrible. So I was like, okay, 140, and then he Iono'd me once again and hit into me, and I did not have anything. Like, I actually did not have anything. And the whole time I'm just looking at the damage on the bench. The whole time I'm looking at the fact that if I have Alakazam or 2 double gunners at some point, like if I hit the Clara off the Iono, the first or second Iono, I just win the game kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my god, like I just played that so bad to be in this position. Like I was so far ahead. 3 candies were gone from Victor. Like I was in such a good position. How did this happen? In the third game, we are playing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I end up having a really slow start, and once again, I let my Alakazam get lost zoned. Once again, I'm not doing the numbers properly, and I am like a turn away from winning, and time is called. Victor says he would have won on his turn, but I was going to be Devoing his board. I just wasn't going to be winning the game off the Devo. Like I would Devo, 3 candies would be gone for Victor at this point. No Pidgeot remaining on board. There's a Charmeleon, so he goes back into the Charizard, but it's his lone Charizard with like 80 damage on it at this point. So I would have just been able to take the smack, retreat, and like hit back into him or something. Or I had Turo in hand, but I had to Arven. I would have had to Arven for like counter catcher. I was gonna go counter catcher Devo and just do that this turn. But if I had like I think the Pidgey was literally at like 40 and the Charizard was literally at 80, and I was like, if I just had one more ping, I win this game kind of thing. So it was really frustrating that I put myself in that situation and tied once again. And you guys got to keep in mind that these margins are so slim at regionals. Like a tie versus a win is so huge. A tie versus a loss is so huge. And these tournaments are so unforgiving, where you have to earn 35 match points to even have a chance at top cut. And 2 of them didn't even make it this weekend. Like you have to go through the grinder, and I have now thrown away effectively 4 match points by my own mistakes. Like I should be, by all accounts, 4-1 at this point in the tournament. But I played bad. I deserved to be where I was. Like into the best matchup I could possibly ask for. 2 times I played terribly. So, don't have time to dwell on it. I have to reset. At this point, I'm now pounding my first energy drink. We're trying to make something happen. I go up against Ryan's Bruckner, and he kind of actually like double bricks against me with Charizard. Or like he has like super slow starts because you have to opt to go first into my matchup. I think it's better, and he just doesn't have good starts. And I am able to devolve his board. Things are kind of firing on all cylinders. Everything's good for me. Now I'm against Christian, who is playing Gardevoir. Same thing. I kind of fire off on all cylinders. Everything is going well for me. I'm able to devolve their board pretty effectively. Kind of mitigate the fact that I'm trying to match them on prizes. You don't give them counter catcher access. You don't give them any of those pieces. So yeah, I end up doing that the way I can. So now I'm at 4-1-2. I'm taking my second energy drink. I know I'm not playing great, but I'm trying to lock it in as best as I can. I'm trying to be like, okay, I have to play a little bit better. I have to not make mistakes. Like if I can just get to day 2 and get a good night's sleep tonight, like if I can just do this, then all will be forgiven. Like the tournament can be fixed. I can dwell on this later. Whatever, right? Then I go with Emmanuel Cruz, who informs me immediately that his score is incorrect. He should be at 3-3 or 3-2-2, not 4-1-2. And they basically just don't do anything, and we end up playing. I guess we just like play. In the first game, I have like probably one of the slowest starts I've had all tournament. I think Emmanuel Abyss Seekings 3 times before I attack a singular time, and at this point it's like way too late because he's able to boss. I think bossed a Tina or something on the bench. Not Tina, an Urshifu or something on the bench. Took 2 prizes with 280. I one shot the Tina in return, and then he V-starred by active, I think. And then I unknown him to 1, and he hits Gate, which loses me the game. For his Sableye, because he had Sableye on board, so Sableye just pops my Octillery. And then game 2, it's a little bit of the same old, where like my start is really slow. He actually gets to 10 before I get an Octillery out and wipes my board of those guys. I don't know, it was just like really disheartening that I had like some of the worst starts in what I consider to be an okay matchup. But it's like one of those things where it's like you play well, the game will treat you well as well. And if you like kind of throw your games and don't deserve to win your games, you might not get bailed out. Like you don't always get bailed out by the universe, right? So my tournament run is now over. 4-2-2. I'm contemplating dropping and just getting the hell out of there. And then a friend of mine mentions to me that like, hey, you're Rahul. A lot of people would be excited to play you if they're paired into you. Like even if the bottom tables or even the tables where like people are trying to earn points, playing against you is something that not a lot of people get to do. You should go to your table and concede the game and make someone's day. And I was like, yep, that's a great idea. It does me no harm, no foul. I don't need the points. I have my Worlds invite, and I'm going to a lot more regionals. I would love to, make someone's day if I could possibly do that. So I get to my table against Evan, and I'm very much ready to just concede and call it a day. But Evan is like a huge Umbreon fan like me, so huge props to Evan. It was awesome playing against you. All the Umbreon swag. Long time since I've seen someone have the same playmat as me too. The 2019 Darkrai Umbreon playmat. So it was a lot of banter in game 1. I ended up beating Evan pretty handedly, and it is an incredibly favorable matchup because Evan is playing Kyogre. So I just don't take prizes until it's time to board wipe. And as soon as game 1 ended, the match tips were coming out, and I told Evan, hey, I'm still going to concede this match. I don't need the points. I don't need the win. It was fun playing you, but good luck further, kind of thing. So did that. Was awesome. Would have still finished 5-2-2, I believe, on the day had I played that one out, which is not a bad record, right? By all accounts, 5-2-2 should be a record where like, oh man, you almost didn't make day 2, but it hurts knowing that it wasn't variance. Like, yeah, I bricked twice, whatever. Like, I lost to a bad matchup in Moon. Happens. You got one bad matchup and you got one brick. Like, if you told me you get 7 good matchups in a day, like, that's everyone's like ideal tournament. Like 7 matchups to move on to day 2. 8 is like a better day, especially with a deck like Urshifu that plays matchup lottery. Like, yeah, but it just hurts more that it's my own fault that I didn't advance to day 2. Like, it is every single thing was in my control besides the round 8 bricks. Like, every single other match, I was the captain of my destiny, and I squandered an opportunity to become a regional champion. I squandered an opportunity to move forward, and you don't get a lot of opportunities. You only get, in the US, 12 a year. You only get, and not everyone's going to everything. Like, I can't even go to all those. Like, I literally am going to miss 2 of those. So you have to make the most, and that's what separates a good from a great player, is like not making as many mistakes. And that day I wasn't a great player. Like, this weekend I played poorly, and I'm sorry for my performance more than anything. Like, you guys look up to me. A lot of people come to me for questions about my play, and it's embarrassing how I played. I think it's not the standard I hold myself to. So it was a wake up call, wake up back to reality type of thing. Yeah, I've been having a great season, but every single tournament you start at 0-0. You don't start with your previous accolades. You start at 0-0 and have to earn those match points to get back to where you need to be every single time. So Charlotte is the next regionals I'll be attending. It is my birthday weekend, so if you see me and want to say happy birthday or something, that'd be awesome. I would appreciate that a ton. I'm turning 28. I'm old as fuck. All that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, like and subscribe. Everyone who usually watches my reports, like, you guys are awesome. Like, I'm just rambling to the, not TV, computer, and you guys are just listening to me, and I really appreciate that a ton. So thank you guys so much. Here's the list once again if you want to take a look at it. That all being said, peace out, guys. See you in Charlotte.